No DQ Galaxy. We are live with a recap of Monday Night Raw for January the 9th, 2022. Shout out to everybody watching this live and on demand. Of course, I have to shout out the early birds, the This Guy Experience, Michael Wayne, Ken Terminates DQ, Mr. Dark Fantasy, Kevin G, Torvik23, Darren G, Gomer Kyle, Joey Perez, D. Martin Fifth, Matt Helms. Thank you all for tuning in early. I very much appreciate it. CC Drink and all the rest. Now, let's get right into this recap. We're getting close to the Royal Rumble Premium Live event. And yes, shout out to JDP_9 watching this on Twitch. This is live on Twitch, YouTube, Facebook, Twitter. It's all over the place. Thank you wherever you're watching it. But I do ask, if you're enjoying the video, please give it a like on YouTube and consider subscribing to the No DQ YouTube channel. Now, I'm ranking the segments from worst to best. I have 9 total matches / segments / promos, and we're going to rank them worst to best, starting at number 9, the 9th bottom segment / segments. And I do combine matches with backstage promos involving the same people. Bayley versus Jeff Michin. That's a play on Jeff Meacham. I hate that name, Michin. So I'm going to call her Jeff Michin from now until they just call her Mia Yim. Mia Yim is fine. We did not need this name change whatsoever. Anyways, bad sign here. They had to pipe in cheers for her. And it was very blatantly obvious that there were fake cheers when she came out there. The announcer was like, Michin, and then there were all of a sudden all these cheers, and then it got quiet again. Bayley, before the match, got on the mic, called out Becky Lynch, ripped into her. She gave Io Sky and Dakota Kai the night off, feeling that she could handle Michin just by herself. And it was a very basic match. You had Bayley suplexing Michin on the outside of the ring on the floor. And then after a while, Michin started to make her comeback, hit a dive to the outside, and she hit a German suplex in the ring. She went for another one, but Bayley avoided it. And then Bayley, with the backslide, putting her feet on the ropes, got the 1-2-3 victory, beat Michin without any help from the tag team champions. So yeah, Michin really going nowhere at this point. And then backstage, Michin confronted Bayley, called her a cheater, and that's when Io Sky and Dakota Kai came in. 3-on-1 attack. They left Michin laying. Not a whole lot to say about it. If you missed it, you really did not miss much. Walter Cruz sent in a $5 super chat. Thank you for that, Walter. I appreciate it. He says, please like, share this video, say yes to no DQ, and hashtag stick to my shtick, and hashtag stay merchy. And if I could stick to my shtick, please, you guys, stick to the topic. I appreciate that very much. Thank you. And I agree with JDP over on Twitch. With AJ Styles gone, you have to worry for Michin and Anderson and Gallows, because Jeff Meacham would agree with me on that. AJ Styles was really the star of the act, and they were all attached to him and getting over by association. Lots of comments here in the chat room. Jeff is here, by the way. Shout out to good old JM, Jeff Meacham, not Michin. Coming in at number 8 in my segments, we had what ended up being Rhea Ripley versus Candice LeRae. Candice LeRae also, like Michin, seems to be going nowhere fast. Triple H brought back all these people, and several of them just seem to be there, not really making much of an impact whatsoever. So Candice LeRae was interviewed backstage. Johnny Gargano was injured, but he's still teasing the idea that he'll be back for the Royal Rumble. Nikki Cross was in the background being creepy, watching the promo. It was fun the first time we saw it happen, but now it's kind of run its course, in my opinion. And we had Rhea Ripley interrupt, and Candice felt that she had just as good of a chance of winning the Royal Rumble as Rhea Ripley and challenged Rhea Ripley to a match, which Rhea accepted. And sorry, Candice, but you do not have hardly the chance of Rhea Ripley at winning the Royal Rumble. I would say a far less chance of winning, to be totally fair to Candice. And I'm a fan of hers too. We had this match, and Rhea Ripley was woman handling Candice. Candice did make a little bit of a comeback, but it was almost a squash match. Candice went for a dive to the outside, but Rhea Ripley caught her, threw her into the barricade, and then put on a submission outside of the ring. Rhea got Candice back in the ring and then picked up the submission victory with the Riptide. Basically, this was to build up Rhea Ripley. It was what it was. And I would say she's the odds-on favorite at this point to win the Royal Rumble. And I really would like to see it happen. Number 7 segment of the evening, Alexa Bliss. Footage was shown of her attack on Bianca Belair. Bianca was not on the show this week, selling the attack from Alexa. Good call there. Alexa was standing on the announce table. She said that Bianca Belair decided to run and hide. She said that she is the face of evil. She's the one in charge now. People are afraid of her, not Bray Wyatt. But then all of a sudden, and she said she had the whole world in her hands, which was Bray Wyatt's old phrase back in the day when he was old school Bray Wyatt, the original incarnation of the character. So we had an interruption, Uncle Howdy on the video. We had footage of a playground, and he asked if Alexa Bliss really felt like she was in charge. And then Uncle Howdy arrived. He showed up on the stage, and there was smoke. We had the shadow, and lots of people thinking it's Bo Dallas. Apparently, he was backstage at Raw. So, I mean, it's almost like the worst kept secret in wrestling right now. I think it has to be Bo Dallas, right? Like, that's what makes sense. Segment was fine. You know, I'm not sure how I feel about Alexa Bliss still being involved in it or where this is going, but I guess we'll see how it plays out. We had what I went for at number 6, which was the Cody Rhodes part 2 of his road back to the Royal Rumble. Another good video package here. Cody Rhodes talking about the Hell in a Cell pay-per-view, tearing his pectoral muscle. Good stuff here to build him up for the Royal Rumble. And Jeff bringing up how I ranked the female wrestler segments at the bottom. Yeah, I mean, it's telling, right? If I'm booking them at the bottom, but that's just how I'm feeling. It's not by design. I'm not trying to target certain segments or certain people for certain positions on the show. It's just how I feel, just how it ends up being. And yeah, Cody definitely seems like the odds-on favorite to win the men's Royal Rumble at this point. I mean, unless The Rock or Steve Austin show up, then I think Cody's the obvious favorite to win. Not much else in the way of candidates. And that's a problem too. Like, I feel like for the Royal Rumble, if WWE really pushed a lot of people, it would make the Rumble matches more intriguing. It's not that hard to do, but they tend to put all their eggs in a few baskets instead of there being like 7 or 8 really strong candidates to win. You have, well, 2 or 3 if you're lucky. Number 5 was The Miz with his Miz TV segment. We had a Bronson Reed video package once again, and then backstage Bronson Reed was interviewed, asked about working with The Miz, but then The Miz interrupted and said they have each other's backs. He invited Bronson Reed to be on Miz TV, but Bronson said if Miz wants something, Miz has to pay him. So yeah, this is good because they're not really having Bronson Reed be the lackey of The Miz. He's basically a hitman. He's paid to do a job. If Miz needs muscle, Bronson Reed will do it. I like that. I like that they're kind of not really associated, and Bronson Reed is more or less doing his own thing. But if someone wants to pay him to beat up somebody or help them win a match, he'll do it. I like it. I'm fine with this. For Miz TV, the special guest was Dominik Mysterio, fresh off his stay in prison, which was actually 3 hours in the county jail, but Dominik totally playing up on it. I'm loving it. Dominik's doing a great job with this. Dominik has been getting so much hate over the past few years, but this Judgment Day storyline has really turned it around for him. I think he's really showing his personality and just having fun with it. I'm really enjoying it. And he came out there. He's dressed like Conan now with the bandana over his face. He's got the street clothes. He's got the street cred now. He's got the teardrop, the tattoo below his eye. And he comes out there and he talked about the lessons learned in prison, rolling with his crew. That's why he brought Judgment Day out there, because it's a valuable lesson in life. And he said that he has to grab life by the balls, just like Maurice does to The Miz. And Miz brought up the county jail line that he was there for 3 hours, and Dominik got pissed. And then Miz kind of backed off, said maybe he was misinformed. And then Priest said that they were going to win the tag team turmoil match. And then the OC arrived, Anderson and Gallows, and that set up the turmoil gauntlet match. More on that in a few. And I agree with Steve-O. Very much felt like Conan with that whole look, probably directly influenced by Conan. I would not be shocked. Number 4 segment, we had Dolph Ziggler versus Solo Sikoa. Now, before the match, Mustafa Ali, who still is working for WWE, confronted Dolph Ziggler. Apparently, they were going to be in the turmoil match, but Ziggler decided against it. Ziggler told Ali that there are more important things right now than tag team titles and being involved with somebody in a tag team. He needs to take care of business, said Dolph Ziggler, against Solo Sikoa. And we had this match. So I guess Ziggler just doesn't care about titles. This was personal, trying to get some payback on Solo Sikoa. Match was pretty good. And Ziggler, of course, made Solo look great. And Solo dumped Ziggler over the top rope. And then after the commercial break, Solo went headfirst into the ring post. And then that's when Ziggler hit the zigzag, but Solo kicked out. And then Solo countered a Fameasser attempt, hit the Samoan spike, and got the 1-2-3 victory. And there's a comment here from the Torvik 23 that Conan isn't the only Mexican out there. But, I mean, come on. You guys know how Conan dressed. And, of course, Rey Mysterio, Eddie Guerrero, all being influences on Dominik. You know, Conan is playing a role in Dominik's career too. So, I mean, I think it's pretty clear Dominik is being influenced by Conan, his dad, Rey Mysterio, and Eddie Guerrero. Walter Cruz with a $5 super chat. Thank you for that, Walter. Appreciate it. Says, Dominik will be the Sami Zayn of Judgment Day. He will get it over and everybody will love them, but it will all be because of him and Rhea. I have to give Rhea her credit too. Yeah, Rhea has really stepped it up, and her and Dominik have been a fun pairing. It's been really entertaining. The Judgment Day, that's one group that I feel has really been elevated since Vince McMahon left. And now that he's back, I mean, as long as he's not in creative, I think things will be looking pretty good for the Judgment Day. Virtue sent in a $2 super chat, says he is Dylan Folk's daddy. Well, all right then. Thank you for the super chat, Virtue. I appreciate it. And we'll see what Dylan Folk has to say in the chat room. And Solo Sikoa continuing to look great. Love how he's been booked. They've been pushing him like a top guy. And he's got some legitimate credibility. Like, Solo is one of those guys that feels like a major star. They've been pushing him strong since he debuted on the main roster. And at the end of the day, that's how you do it. The Shield, they got over because, well, they were pushed like top guys from the beginning. So number 3 for the evening, we had the opening segment with Kevin Owens, which led to a match against Corbin. Yes, I'm putting Corbin in the number 3 spot, which I'm a little surprised I did, but solid build-up here for the Royal Rumble. KO cut this promo. The fans were chanting for him. He thanked them, and JBL quickly interrupted, and he said that nobody believes Owens can defeat Roman Reigns. He brought out the only man in 3 years that has a pinfall victory over Roman Reigns, which is true. It is Corbin, believe it or not, around the time of the dog food angle. That's when Roman Reigns took his last pinfall loss in WWE. So Corbin showed up, vowed to win the Rumble, and beat Reigns clean. Owens had his head in the corner, which was great, which is why I chose it for the graphic of this video. And we had our match. Both guys were on the outside. Corbin chokeslammed Owens onto the apron. And then after the break, Owens started to build some momentum. He did the cannonball and he did the big swanton, but Corbin kicked out. Corbin then hit the deep 6, which is like the Blue Thunder Bomb. Never gets a win. Of course, Owens kicked out, and then Owens hit the stunner, got the 1-2-3 victory. And then after the match, the Bloodline showed up, 3-on-1 attack, but Owens managed to fight them off. He got the steel chair. He took them out. Bloodline fled, which I like. Makes Kevin Owens look strong. He's able to handle the Bloodline. Adam Pearce showed up to try and restore order. And then backstage, Pearce brought up the tag team turmoil match, said that the Usos had to leave, but Solo would have to stay and do the match with Dolph Ziggler. So good stuff here with Kevin Owens. I enjoyed it. Hamp Cano with a $5 super chat. Thank you, Hamp. Says, today in history, 2006, the Edge and Lita live SEX celebration, which would go on to break Raw ratings records. That was quite the segment, folks, and we're still talking about it today. Say what you will about it, but it certainly made an impression on people all these years later. People are still talking about it. I would say it's a classic segment, even though I feel like they would never do a segment like that today, and we probably will never see a segment like that again, at least anytime in the near future. Number 2 segment of the evening, Austin Theory coming to the ring for a promo, and very interesting. So there's been a lot of rumors about Austin Theory's WrestleMania opponent. Who's it going to be? Well, there's been talk about Logan Paul facing John Cena, but Austin Theory dropped. The champ is here. John Cena's catchphrase. If it's not Cena versus Theory, why is he throwing the little teases out? I certainly think that it's John Cena versus Austin Theory. Maybe Logan Paul faces Grayson Waller. Grayson Waller did an interview and basically called out Logan Paul. Maybe Logan Paul needs to go a step down for a little bit before he can face somebody like John Cena at WrestleMania. So anyways, we got the Cena line, and then Theory started ripping into Rollins, wanted to know where Rollins was. The crowd chanted, "We want Rollins," and then Rollins did show up. Rollins had crutches with him, selling the knee injury from last week, but then he got rid of one of the crutches, and of course, Corey Graves had to say, "It's a miracle," the old Bobby Heenan line. And then Theory talked to Rollins, said that Theory is the pinnacle of the entire damn industry, and he has surpassed Rollins's ass. I like this idea, Logan Paul versus Pat McAfee from Virtue. That's a good idea. I'm all for that. I mean, both guys don't really have the experience, but man, the personalities, like that would generate a lot of mainstream publicity. I don't know if they would book that because of the lack of experience for both guys. And plus, you could put them in two separate matches and get two matches with mainstream publicity. But yeah, I'd be interested in that. Logan Paul versus Pat McAfee. That would be something. But I suspect that will not happen, just because I feel like they're going to try and use each guy in separate matches to build up WrestleMania. And who would Pat McAfee face if he does a match this year at WrestleMania? So anyways, Theory said that he's on to bigger and better things. He's going to win the Royal Rumble, be the undisputed champion. And then Rollins responded by saying, right now his knee is not 100%, but it will be 100% in time for the Royal Rumble. And he'll see Theory at the Rumble. And he called him a kid once again. And as he was leaving, Bobby Lashley made his return from suspension. Lashley got in the ring. He speared Theory, and then he tossed Theory over the top rope, which the announcers kept bringing that up, and they kept doing it during the show. So they're really trying to hype up the Royal Rumble in that way, where wrestlers are tossing each other over the top, just like they would in the Royal Rumble. And Lashley got on the mic, hyped up the Rumble, said he is going to manhandle everybody in the Royal Rumble match. And then he went backstage and MVP approached him. Now, last week there was a tease for the Hurt Business possibly reuniting. MVP was seen in a backstage segment with Shelton Benjamin and Cedric Alexander. And now MVP was approaching Lashley. He wanted a handshake, and he said it was him that got Lashley reinstated, but Lashley wasn't fully on board with MVP. And MVP said if Lashley decides at some point to extend his business, MVP said his number is still the same. So I wonder if when Brock Lesnar and Bobby Lashley set up their rematch, which looks like that's going to be WrestleMania, right? Because I thought they were going to do this for the Rumble, and Lashley is going to be in the Rumble now. So I'm thinking this Bobby Lashley, Brock Lesnar, the third match, the rubber match, is being saved for WrestleMania. I know Gunther versus Lesnar was being rumored. However, I think they're going with Lashley versus Lesnar 3 for WrestleMania. That certainly seems to be the direction at this point. Maybe Lashley gets eliminated by Lesnar at the Rumble, and that's when Lashley gets the Hurt Business back together for WrestleMania. Hamp Connell sent in a $5 super chat. Thank you, Hamp. I appreciate it. Says, Today in history, 1993, WWE's first ever Iron Man match between Bret Hart and Ric Flair. Hart won 3-2 after reversing a figure four into a pin. And Ken asked if it was televised. I've never seen the match. I'm pretty sure it was a house show. I suppose somebody filmed it and it's around on the internet. It might have been filmed, but I don't think I've ever seen it. And if I saw a clip of it, I do not recall. But yeah, fans back then had their camcorders and they did film matches. I don't know if any footage actually exists, though, of that match. Moving on here to the number one segment, which was the main event again. The Tag Team Turmoil match. And I have to tell you guys, I was not going to put this in number one, but I did, and I'll explain at the end here. So we started off with the OC versus Judgment Day. It did go back and forth for a bit, and Carl Anderson was sent into the steps, and then after the break, Anderson was pinned by Balor. Balor rolled him up, got the win. Like I said earlier, could be a rough couple of months for Anderson and Gallows if AJ Styles is not around. Shelton Benjamin and Cedric Alexander were next. They had a hot start. They got in some offense, but ultimately they were not winning this match. Coup de grace by Balor got the 1-2-3 over Cedric Alexander, but Hurt Business could see a reunion and we could see a new lease of life on Shelton Benjamin and Cedric Alexander if the group is reformed. Which I would like to see, just because the Hurt Business was really a thing during the pandemic era, and we really didn't get to see much of the Hurt Business in front of live fans. So it would be nice to see them get a second run, this time with the fans in attendance. After this, we had the Alpha Academy show up, and they acted like baby faces in this match. Gable was worked over for a while, and then Otis got the hot tag, and he was doing the babyface moves. He even busted out the Caterpillar, which got a big pop from the crowd. And it wasn't enough, though, because Otis was going for a Vader bomb. Balor was going after Gable, and Gable, he caught Gable in a hold, and when Otis came down with the Vader bomb, it was Gable that ended up taking the brunt of the punishment, although Balor got hurt too, and that played into the story for the remainder of this. Priest came in, and he ended up pinning Otis, and that led to the Street Profits coming out as the final team, but Balor was hurt, and Adam Pearce was out there with officials. They said Balor could not finish the match, so it was either a forfeit or Dominik Mysterio would have to step in and finish the match. And that's what he did. Street Profits came out there as the final team. And the Profits were beaten down for a while. Dominik was the fresh man. Montez Ford started to make a comeback. Dominik ran to the outside, and then Damian Priest took advantage. He bum rushed Ford over the announce desk, but then Dawkins came over the top with a big dive onto Dominik and Damian Priest. And then after the break, Judgment Day regained the upper hand. Balor was trying to help them out. Moral support on the outside. His midsection was all taped up. Dominik went for a 619, but Dawkins countered this, and then Ford got the hot tag, hit a big frog splash. Street Profits double-teamed Dominik, but Dominik kicked out. He's getting tougher. That hardcore prison time made him a tougher man, and he's able to kick out of more now. Montez Ford did his big dive over the corner to the outside. Then he got Priest back in the ring, or not Priest, Dominik back in the ring, and he went for the 450. He hit the 450, but Damian Priest pulled Ford off of Dominik, and then Dominik was able to pin Ford, had his feet on the ropes, and you had Rhea Ripley on the outside helping Dominik with some leverage. So Dominik was able to pin Montez Ford, and he got the victory for his team. And this is why I put this in the number one spot. I was not going to, because at first I'm thinking, okay, this was a very long segment. This was about 45 minutes, this gauntlet match, this turmoil match to determine the next challengers for the Royal Rumble or whenever they do the match. And I'm thinking to myself, man, this is going to really be annoying if I'm watching a 45-minute segment just for the Street Profits to win and face the Usos again, a match we've already seen. So I was pleasantly surprised. Even though it's heels versus heels, I was pleasantly surprised that Judgment Day won here. I'm liking it. Judgment Day versus the Usos. It's something different. I still don't think Judgment Day will win the titles, but I like the fact that we're getting a different match, and it's something we haven't seen before. And then the Usos came out at the end, confronted Judgment Day. Because of the fact that Judgment Day won this, I put this in the number one spot this week. Looking forward to seeing what happens with that match and how the fans react to it. And yeah, Street Profits did a great job in the match. Dominik was very entertaining. You know, everything from the beginning. Dominik was just doing great stuff here. So all in all, Raw was a pretty solid show. Not as strong as last week, so I think I'm giving it a B-. Rumble build was pretty solid. It also felt like a show that still had football competition, and they really were not going balls to the wall with the booking and really hitting the storylines hard for the Royal Rumble. But it was a fairly entertaining 3-hour show. Not too much to complain about, but also at the same time, not a show that was something that you really had to go out of your way to watch. So B- for this week. Pretty good Raw. And that's it for the Raw recap. Thank you all for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. And if you did, please give this video a thumbs up on YouTube. Even if you're watching on Twitch or Facebook or Twitter, if you can head over to YouTube, youtube.com/AaronRiftNoDQ, and subscribe if you haven't already. Give the video a thumbs up. It really does help. Thank you all so much for watching again. And check out Jeff Meacham's channel. He'll be doing talk wrestling here on No DQ as well. Tuesday nights. That's where you'll find good old JM, Jeff Meacham, not Michin. He'll be back for talk wrestling, and he's going to be at Dynamite this week in Los Angeles. Follow him at _Jeff Meacham on Twitter. Take care, everybody. Have a great week as always. And remember to say yes to NoDQ.com. And I will see you all next time.